All right, we got Mike Tomlin's press conference from post game against the Browns, and it was a loss. Um, Not that it was a huge shock, I guess. Leading into this game, I think they were 1-4-1 out of their last 6 games when going to Cleveland. So that's now 1-5-1. And not only that, but the Steelers were 0-7, and this is a very specific niche stat. But they were 0-7 on the road on Thursday Night Football against divisional opponents. And that's the Steelers. Mike Tomlin 0-5, so now that's 0-8 and 0-6. And Mike Tomlin was 2-8 just on the road on Thursday Night Football as a whole. And now here 2-9, losing 9 out of their last 10. I'm trying to think of all the stats I saw, but basically, it's not a huge shock that they lost, and this Cleveland team beat Baltimore just a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, hearing all these stats, and it's like, yeah, they lost. You never like to see the loss, but it's not a shock when you hear all that. So let's hear what Mike Tomlin has to say.
First I'd like to start by complimenting the Cleveland Browns, man. I thought they brought it tonight. It was a hard-fought game. They made more plays over the course of 60 minutes than we did. Obviously, we got to own our portions of it, particularly early on, man. I thought it took us too long to warm up to the action. We were penalized, some pre-snap penalties. It just wasn't really sharp. We got going, our guys fought, but it wasn't enough to secure victory. And so it's painful, but it's life in this business. We'll take a look at the tape and learn from it, man. We're in the midst of some thick AFC North action, and so no rest for the weary, man. We got a big one coming up. But again, compliment the Browns on bringing it, particularly early on. Took us too long to warm up to the action. Questions?
Mike, they sacked Russ 4 times, I think 3 in the first half. What were they doing that was effective?
I guess that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying it took us too long to warm up to the action. They brought it, and they brought it instantly early on. Thought we settled down and got competitive, but as you mentioned, it produced some negativity, particularly in the first half.
Can you explain what happened on that call where you ended up accepting the penalty after they say you declined? Why did you accept?
I thought it was a grounding. Initially, I couldn't hear the officials. I thought it was a grounding. When I realized that it wasn't ruled a grounding, I got information from them and made the call that we wanted to make. The distance was more important to us. If it wasn't grounding, we wanted to move them 5 yards back. They were potentially kicking into the wind, and so we wanted to stop them, man, and make the field goal a longer one.
Like what were they able to do in the middle of the field with the passing game?
I don't know that I felt a lot of things there. I'd have to look at the tape. I don't know that it was a consistent pattern there. They made some plays.
Mike, is there a common denominator to the short yardage struggles you guys have had, particularly on 3rd and 4th and short?
I'd have to take a look at it, but more than anything, I thought they brought it tonight in those instances, particularly there early on.
Anyone else? Mike, did some of the weather dictate how much you used Justin today?
No, I don't think that the weather was a factor. We had intentions on using him, and we did. I don't know that the weather conditions were a factor in that decision-making.
Where did you feel like the play broke down with Jerry Jeudy catching that 15-yard pass to get them the first down? So touchdown.
I'd have to see it, man. It happened over there on their bench, and my view was obstructed in terms of the coverage, and so I don't have the answer to that.
You didn't want to put yourself in a position to have a 4th down and have them kick the field goal rather than go for third and long?
Again, I wanted to back them up to make it
They were going to go for it anyway.
Problematic kick for them based on the conditions with them kicking into the wind.
Okay, so to what that guy said there, when it was initially declined by Mike Tomlin, it was 4th and 2. Jameis Winston was still out there. So it's entirely possible that they were still going to go for it no matter what, or maybe they were just going to try to get Pittsburgh to jump and call a timeout and kick a field goal. We really don't know what Cleveland's intentions were, unless if Stefanski or Jameis or whoever would say, or who's the offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, if any of them were to say yes or no, we were actually going to go for it on 4th and 2. So I'm going to take these off quick. But I'll give more thoughts in my reaction to the game. But I didn't like too much of the play calling. I didn't like some of the decision making by Tomlin here. Where, I mean, it's 4th down. I'm like, okay, punt. And they go for it. It's like, well, why? And yes, the one punt that Corliss Waitman did have went 15 yards, and I think the first punt by Bajorquez went 12 yards, if I'm remembering correctly. Now, Bajorquez did punt after that, and he did get a couple of decent punts. But Pittsburgh only punted once, did not go well, and I just think some of their decision-making or play calling. And that's the thing. The play calling, that's on Arthur Smith. It's not on Tomlin. But overall, I mean, I guess this is a pretty short standard press conference by Mike Tomlin, where in a loss he'll generally give a little bit of praise to the winning team, and I don't know, it's just I definitely do disagree with a lot of what they did, and I'll get into it a little more in my reaction to the game. But that was Mike Tomlin's press conference. Very, very short for this one. And the weather did turn really quick. So whether that affected decision-making at all, I think it did. They had a decent, field goal length in normal weather. And in the snow, they sent Boswell out, and they called timeout. And my theory is you send him out, he gets to have a look at it and say yes or no, do I feel like I can make this? And then they converted on that 4th. And a little bit later on that drive, they ended up kicking a closer field goal. So I do think the weather played some kind of part there, and Tomlin's not really going to tell. It's similar to the Washington game where it was, Mike, were you ever going to go for it on 4th? Guess we'll never know. But I think it did, but Mike Tomlin would never tell that. And that's the thing, is that, like I said, Pittsburgh's not good on short weeks, and they've won 22 straight on Monday Night Football. So short week, bad. Long week, great. And now they get about a week and a half until they face Cincinnati. So there's a decent chance that they actually beat Cincinnati. And I don't know if that's in Cincy or in Pittsburgh, but I did see Jermaine Pratt guaranteed a victory. And they're coming off a bye week, so they're going to have extra rest too. And that is it for this one. So if you guys did enjoy it, please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn notifications on. I will see all you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.